Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Arjuna Uvacha. Sanyasasya Mahabaho. Tattvam echami veditam. Tyagasya charishikesha. Pritakkeshi nisudanaha.
Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyasa. O killer of the country demon, master of the senses.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam Sanyasam Kavayo Vidu Sarva Karma Phala Tyagam Prahustyagam Vichakshana.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyasa. And giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, tyaga.
Tyajam dosavaditi eke karma prahurmanisinaha yajna dana tapa karma natyajam eti chapare.
Some learned men declare that all kinds of future activities should be given up as faulty. Yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned.
Nishchayam Shinuma Tatra Tyage Bharata Sattama Tyago Hi Purusha Vyagra Trivida Samprakirtita.
O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds.
Yajna dana tapa karma natyajam karyameva tad yajno danam tapaschaiva pavanani manisinam.
Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls.
Etani api tu karmani sankam tyakvata phalani cha kartavyaniti me partha nishchitam matam uttamam.
All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha. That is my final opinion.
Niyatasya tu sanyasa karma no papadyate mohatasya parityagas tamasa parikirtitaha.
Prescribed duty should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Niyas dukkam iti eva yat karma kaya klesham bhayat tajit sakatva rajasam tyagam neva tyaga phalam labhet.
Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation.
Karyam iti eva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam cheva satyaga satviko mataha.
O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness.
Nadvesti akusalam karma kushalenanu sajate tyagi sattva samavishto medavi chinna samsaye.
The intelligence renounced is situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about what.
Nahi deha prita sakyam tyaktam karmani asheshataha yasu karma phalatyagi satyageti abhidhiyate.
It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruit of action is called one who is truly renounced.
Anishtham ishtham mashram cha trividham karmana phalam bhavite atta kinam pritya natu sannyasinam kvachet.
For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life may have no such result to suffer or endure.
Panchetani mahabaho karanani nibodha me sankhya kritante proktani siddhaye sarvakarmanam.
O mighty Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me.
Adishtanam tatta karta karanam cha prithak vidham vivitas cha prithak sheshta dhaivam chaivartra panchamam.
The place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are the 5 factors of action.
Shariravan mano biryat karma prabhate nara nyayam va viparitam va panchete tasya hetavaha.
Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors.
Yasyana tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuya pashyate akrita bhuditvan nasa pashyati dhurmita.
Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are.
Yasyanaham krito bhavo buddhir yasyana lipyate hatvapi sa iman lokan nahanti na nibhadyate.
One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled through, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions.
Jnanam jenam parichnata triveda karma chodana karanam karma kartiti triveda karma sangraha.
Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the 3 factors that motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer are the 3 constituents of action.
Jnanam karma cha karta cha trideva guna bedataha prochyate guna sankhyane yathavat shrinutanyapi.
According to the 3 different modes of material nature, there are 3 kinds of knowledge: action and the performer of action. Now hear of them from me.
Sarvabhuteshu Gyenekam bhavam avayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tajjnanam vidhi sattvikam.
That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness.
Prithakvena tu yajnanam nana bhavan prithakvidan veti sarveshu bhuteshu tajnanam vidirajasam.
That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different kind of living entity, you should understand to be the mode of passion.
Yatu Krishna vad ekasmin karye saktam ahitukam atat vartavad alpam cha tattamasam adahurtam.
And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work is the all in all. Without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness.
Niyatam Sangarahitam Araga Dveshita Kritam Afala Prepsuna Karma Yatat Satpikam Uchyate.
That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitive result is said to be in the mode of goodness.
Yattu kamepshuna karma sahankarena vakuna kriyate bahula yasam tadrajasam udahritam.
But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion.
Anubandam Shayam Himsam Anapeksha Cha Purusham Mohad Arabhyate Karma Yattu Tamasam Uchyate.
That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Thank you so much, Yash, Balram, and Sridham
Thank
for
you.
that wonderful recitation.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. Okay. Great. I am going to bring up today's verse so we can have a discussion on it. So it is 18.19, which we will be having a look at it today. It's a very straightforward verse. So let's go straight into it and see what Krishna is trying to tell us. Really, the text begins from the next verse. So we may try and cover the two texts, 19 and 20 today, because 19 is a preliminary verse which is going to describe the next three texts. So let's see if we can cover the both, starting with 18.19. So let me share my screen with all of you. So this is 18.19. Jnanam karma cha karta cha trideva guna bhedata prochyate guna sankhyane yatvak shrinu tani api. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge, action, and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. Purport. In the 14th chapter, the three divisions of the modes of material nature were elaborately described. In that chapter, it was said that the mode of goodness is illuminating, the mode of passion materialistic, and the mode of ignorance conducive to laziness and indolence. All the modes of material nature are binding. They are not source of liberation. Even in the mode of goodness, one is conditioned. In the 17th chapter, the different types of worship by different types of men in different modes of material nature were described. In this verse, the Lord says that he wishes to speak about the different types of knowledge, workers, and work itself according to the three material modes. I think let's read the next text as well, because that will just give us a good idea of where we are in terms of our understanding, and we'll try to cover these two texts because this is text 20. Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayam mikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tagyanam vidisatvikam. Translation and purport. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. Purport. A person who sees one spirit soul in every living being, whether a demigod, human being, animal, bird, beast, aquatic, or plant, possesses knowledge in mode of goodness. In all living entities, one spirit soul is there, although they have different bodies in terms of their previous work. As described in the 7th chapter, the manifestation of all living force in every body is due to the superior nature of the Supreme Lord. Thus, to see that one superior nature, that living force in every body, is to see the mode of goodness. That living energy is imperishable, although the bodies are perishable. Differences are perceived in terms of the body because there are many forms of material existence in conditional life. The living force appears to be divided. Such impersonal knowledge is an aspect of self-realization. Jai. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyat Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhesha kripa sindhubhe vacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai. Right. Let's have a quick look at the verse once again. I'll go back to the 19th verse. According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge, action, and the performer of action. Now hear of them from me. So now what Krishna is starting to speak, let me see the link as we heard wonderful talk yesterday with Lokeshwar Prabhu. Let me share my screen with all of you and we can have a quick link between the previous text, which is the text 18 and the text 19. So this was the recap of the text 18, just for our own benefit before we dwell into the text 19 and 20. So in the text 18, there were 5 elements which we learned, which were inspiration. Before one acts, there is some impetus, which is called inspiration. And then there is actual work or the activity, which is any solution arrived at before work is actualized in a subtle form of a work. Then work takes form of action. Then there was a third thing, which was impetus. First, one has to undergo this, psychological process of thinking, feeling, and willing, and that is called impetus. And then there is guru or shastra, which is inspiration to work is the same if it comes from the scripture or from instruction of spiritual master. And finally, the total accumulation of work, that is the sum total of the constituents of an activity. So these were the 5 things we discussed yesterday. And the connection between text and 18 is as follows. So by elaborating on the motives and constituents of action, Krishna here in text 18.18 finishes his summary of Gyan. Up until then, Krishna had finished telling Arjuna about Gyan. And now in pursuing that topic, Krishna will again describe the effects of the 3 modes of nature as he did in the chapters 14 and the 17 in the next series of verses, which is starting from text 90, 19, all the way to text 40. So please try to conceptualize this in your mind as you go through this journey in recitation of this chapter, that the next 21 verses will describe the effects of the 3 modes of the material nature as he did in the chapter 14 and 17. You see, we went through the whole series of Krishna taking us on a beautiful journey and telling us how every aspect of our life, like austerity, charity, they're all can be performed in different 3 modes of material nature. And he begins now by confirming that even the motivators of action and the constituents of action are under the dictates of the modes of nature. He first speaks of knowledge, which is one of the motivators. You see the motivator word used here. I'll highlight for you if you can see my cursor here. Here is the knowledge. And now Krishna will start to speak about the knowledge even in the 3 modes. And we will discuss the one in mode of goodness. What is the person's vision when somebody is illuminated in knowledge through mode of goodness? And then he will talk about action in the 3 modes after he will go through the knowledge. Then he'll talk about the constituents, the performer of action, which is another form of the constituents. So the theme of this particular verse of text 19 is that the 3 kinds of knowledge, action, and performer are explained henceforth. So this is the theme of this particular verse that Prabhupada is giving us a glimpse into what has been discussed here. Bear with me. I just want to read again the purport of Srila Prabhupada before we go into text 20. Some couple of nice points Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport to text 19. He's saying, in I'll miss out that in 14th chapter which we discussed. Prabhupada is saying all the modes of material nature are binding. They are not the source of liberation. Even in the mode of goodness, one is conditioned. In the 7th chapter, the different types of worship by different types of men in different modes of material nature were described. In this verse, the Lord says that he wishes to speak about the different types of knowledge workers and work itself according to the three material modes. So what Prabhupada is, first he said that in the previous chapter like 17 and 14, it was explained that the mode of goodness is illuminating, the mode of passion is materialistic, and the mode of ignorance conducive to laziness and indolence. All the modes of material nature are binding. So now an important point in this connection I want to share with all of you before we move on and look at the next text is that Prabhupada is making a very significant point here. He's saying that, okay, it's nice that now Krishna is telling about the three different modes and there is a whole chapter around it so that we can understand our psychology and also try to look ourselves in the mirror and see where do we stand in our life as far as the three modes of material nature is concerned. But one may reach to the mode of goodness and think, I'm satisfied, I'm happy, very happy. That's great. I've achieved all perfection. So the goal of the human life, the ultimate goal of the human life is not to achieve the state of sattva gun, although it is certainly a state which is illuminating and very, very high. But even an impersonalist actually can be situated on the platform of sattva gun. Even a jnani actually can be situated on the platform of sattva gun. So how is it that sattva gun is conditioned? Even there, one can be conditioned. Could somebody like to shed some light and reflect back on this point? How is it that one can get conditioned even in the state of mode of goodness? You can unmute yourself. Anyone? How can mode of goodness be a state of conditioning? How could you be conditioned in mode of goodness? That's my question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, is it when one thinks that they're advanced in knowledge and better than others?
Thank you, Devkishan Prabhu. Yes. So one of the very important aspect is one may become conditioned with the fact that, oh, I am advanced in knowledge. The sattva gun is really in me, because the state to have knowledge means to have sattva gun. You can't achieve a state of knowledge or acquire knowledge when you're in mode of passion, because what is the symptom of mode of passion? You're always longing to get somewhere, achieve something, desire something. It is not a state of illumination. It's not a state where you can experience the complete knowledge. But in mode of goodness, you have a sense of clarity. You are able to operate with a sense of you're using the intelligence properly, getting up in the morning, engaging in the sattvic habits, cultivating the spirit of knowledge, teaching, education, poetry. These are art, gardening. These are some of the activities which are of the stratosphere of mode of goodness. So in that state, as Prabhuji mentioned very appropriately, one can just have a knowledge that, okay, I'm in mode of goodness, I'm worshipping Devi Devatas, as Krishna says, those who are in the mode of goodness, they achieve heavenly planets or higher planets, and I can be completely satisfied at that stage without hankering or trying to find out, is there a stage which is above the mode of goodness? So that is the reason why this mode of goodness can also be very, very conditioning, because one can become very comfortable, and from comfortable one can become complacent. And we know Krishna is telling in the subsequent verses in the 14th chapter that not only that it is very difficult for one to be always situated in one guna, because there is always a supremacy between these three modes, because sometimes the mode of goodness is prevailing, sometimes mode of passion, and sometimes mode of ignorance. So that itself is a very intelligent outlook to look, okay, well, if it was a state of permanency or being stability, then I should be just totally in mode of goodness. No, Because unless we get param drishtava nivartante, unless we get the higher taste, we won't be able to lose the, give up the lower taste, which is still a mode of goodness, which is binding and conditioning. So I wanted to cover that important point. Now we'll go to the next point, next verse, which is text 20. And in text 20, I'll read the verse again for everyone's benefit. Bear with me. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. And here in the purport it is said, a person who sees one spirit soul in every living being, whether a demigod, human being, animal, bird, beast, aquatic, or plant, possesses knowledge in the mode of goodness. In all living entities, one spirit soul is there, although they have different bodies in terms of their previous work. Now, a very good difference. Now this is a quiz question, and all of you have heard the famous verse Pandita Samadarshina. It starts with Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hashtini Sunicheva Pakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So what I would like you to do is I want you to analyze, and here is my question for all of you. Let's see who gets it right. So here the vision of somebody situated on the mode of goodness in knowledge is given that he's able to see the spirit soul in every living being. You got it? Now please tell me the difference between this status of life versus the verse Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Kavi Hashtini. How come first of all, my question is there a difference between the vision or they're exactly the same visions? That's my first question before you answer. My second question is, if there is a difference in the vision, what is that difference? Let's have a quick couple of minutes of debate on this. Anybody? You need to work with me here today. So please, anyone would like to share their outlook? What do you think is there? If you don't feel there is a difference, just say, I don't think, I think it's same, Prabhu, because you're able to see the soul. You're here also, you're able to see the soul. Am I audible to everybody or?
Prabhu, what was the question?
Okay, so my question was, Prabhu, when we read this text 20, it talks about, I'll read the translation again. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. So seeing that there is a soul situated in everyone is the vision of having a knowledge or understanding that there is a soul situated in everyone's heart. So my question was, what is the difference between this vision and the vision which is being mentioned in the verse called Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hashtini Sunicheva Sapakecha Pandita Samadarshina? And the translation of that verse is the humble sages by the virtue of true knowledge see what equal vision a learned, a gentle Brahmana, a cow, and an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, an outcast. That's my question. That first question is, do you see any difference between these two visions according to these two verses? If you do see, then what is that difference? But if you don't see, then simply say it is exactly the same thing.
I think
It's exactly the same thing, Prabhu.
Krishna, I agree. I think it's the same thing.
Okay, good. That's nice to hear some outlooks. Anybody else? Ajay Mukunda Prabhu, what do you think? What do you think, Prabhu? Or anybody else? Oh, Ajay Mukunda Prabhu, yes, you have unmuted yourself, Prabhu.
Still thinking, Prabhu.
Thinking, okay, great. So that's been a nice question though. Okay, so anybody else before I share my understanding and then we can have a chat later? Okay, here it is. I'm going to bring it up on the screen. First of all, there is a difference. It's not the same. And we shall see how they are not the same. This is the verse with the Vinaya Sampane. Read the translation again with me. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned, a gentle Brahmana, a cow and an elephant, a dog and a dog eater outcast. Right. So the previous verse, I'm going to take you to that verse now. Here we are. Oh, no. One second. Let me open that verse. So here we are, 18.20. Let's read the translation. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. Now, let me give you a little bit of a background so it makes sense. This verse is talking about only what is mode of goodness. Yeah. The Vidya Vinaya Sampanne verse is talking about somebody who's situated on a topmost spiritual platform in order to regard everybody as Samadarshina. And in the purport, let's go back to that verse. I hope you're enjoying this different dimensions today. One second. Here we are. Where is the verse? Sorry, I'm trying to play with the screens actually because of here we are. So now we'll go and look at what Prabhupada is trying to bring that light. You see, actually we can see it here. Let's read it and then some parts of it. A Krishna conscious person does not make any distinction between species or caste. The Brahmana and the outcast may differ from the social point of view, or a dog or a cow and an elephant may differ from the point of view of species. But these differences of body are meaningless from the viewpoint of a learned transcendentalist. A learned transcendentalist. This is due to their relationship to the Supreme, for the Supreme Lord by his plenary portion as Paramatma is present in everyone's heart. Does that make sense now? Do you see the difference? Yes or no, anybody? So the difference is that the verse we just discussed today, the text 20, to keep it things very simple, talks about only seeing the platform that every living entity is eternal. There is a soul in the body. And that's it. That's mode of goodness. And that itself is quite illuminating. But the Vidya Vinaya Sampanne verse is establishing and going above that point and regarding everybody as a Samadarshi because of the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada in that verse very beautifully towards the end goes on to explain. Let's look at this here. He says that he treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains himself as Paramatma regardless of circumstances of all living entity. The Lord as a Paramatma is present both in the outcast and the Brahmana, although the body of the Brahmana and that of an outcast are not the same. So the difference what makes us to take us to the transcendental or the next level of platform to accept Lord Krishna, who's the friend, Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, situated in the heart. And then you will really be able to appreciate the other living entities with an evolved vision for which you have to go to the transcendental platform. Just the knowledge of mode of goodness will not be enough. Does that bring clarity to all of you now? Anyone is able to grasp what I was trying? I hope it wasn't too technical, but the way I was trying to explain and share, please, if you could let me know how you feel about it now, and if that makes sense.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I
Yes.
just have a comment. Is
Yes,
the
Prabhu.
difference basically that the living end, the difference is mainly the mode of goodness and Paramatma basically?
Yes,
And
Prabhu, it's the next level of understanding. Yes, because Sattva Gun is illuminating, and you are able to see that every body, one has an understanding and a knowledge. These are different bodies, but behind those body there is living soul, which in nature is same as my living soul. But the Vidya Vinaya Sampanne verse is telling us that beyond the body, the reason we are able to have an evolved vision, because there is also Paramatma. Prabhupada is making this point. So it's a very, very evolved vision to see even not just having a Paramatma realization is not even only a Bhagwan realization. It's somebody who's a pure devotee of the Lord will really be able to see the representation of the super soul in every living entity. And that's why offer respect, gratitude, obeisances to all living entities. That is one of the symptoms of a pure devotee, Prabhu. So that is the difference. I don't know if you had any other comments, Devkishan Prabhu.
No, I think you cleared it up. So basically the level below is basically the mode of goodness, and then the one above that is Paramatma, seeing all of the living entities, the super soul in all of the living entities.
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Yes.
And then in the mode of goodness, we can still see all of the entities in goodness, basically, but the level above that is the super soul, basically.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay.
And here in this theme, so the knowledge by which that undivided spiritual nature is seen in all the living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms. So it is referred to the soul. So, and this was the verse which we had a quick discussion about it, and understand that how you see, even in this picture, what you are not seeing is a representation of the soul. You're seeing directly the super soul, because that form of Lord Vishnu is being shown in the heart. And that is why you treat a pure devotee treats everybody with a respect. That's why it is explained in Nectar of Devotion. Somebody who's situated on the pure devotional platform cannot really preach. And why do you think they cannot preach? Is because they see that, oh, he's also a devotee, he's also a devotee, he's also a devotee, even a dog is a devotee, he's also a devotee, because he has sama sarveshu bhutesh. He's saying everybody is a part and parcel of the Lord. It's a very, very highly evolved vision. In order to preach, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining in Chaitanya Charitamrita that one has to come to the platform of Madhyam Adhikari to be able to tolerate all these understandings and come to that level, and then share Krishna consciousness with others. And then, even though you can still have that same vision. So today I wanted to now take some time in the next 10 minutes to read something about the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is an article which I would like to share with all of you from His Holiness Kadambakana Maharaj, who writes a little excerpt on glories of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So maybe Ajay Mukunda Prabhu, would you please read this paragraph for us, Prabhu? If that's okay with you. And then what we will do is, after this, I'm going to show you some clips of short videos about how this Chaitanya Charitamrita came into printing and what it means to have Chaitanya Charitamrita, and also to, oh, there's an echo, and also to see the wonderful work of Srila Prabhupada disciple which went in printing this, and what it is for somebody who's trying to distribute. So we'll hear those few lines actually. So, but before that, Achay Mukunda Prabhu, if you like to please read this for us.
Hare Krishna. The Chaitanya Charitamrita is our main book. It is the one book that gives us our particular identity as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. All Vaishnavas basically accept the Bhagavad Gita. Many Vaishnavas appreciate Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course, we give most importance to Srimad Bhagavatam, but Chaitanya Charitamrita is the particular book which combines the element of Krishna with mercy, that we depend on mercy. So it makes the whole picture complete, because without that mercy, where would we be? We are not so strong spiritually, so very much we need this book. We read and learn Bhagavad Gita, we study Bhagavatam, but finally in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find our spiritual life in a complete sense. This is why the Chaitanya Charitamrita is the most important of all books. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. If I could now invite Garta Mataji, could you please read the next paragraph for us?
Hare Krishna, he spoke about Mahapralaya.
No, Mataji, the one from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that one.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was once in Assam, and near a river. Suddenly an earth tremor occurred which was quite strong, and it created a flash flood. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the whole area flooded, and then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke about the Mahapralaya, which is the stage when the universe floods and gets destroyed, but later it comes into being again.
Thank you, Mataji. Could we now have either Pallavi Mataji, if you're able to unmute yourself and read the next paragraph? Pallavi Mataji, are you there with us?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Thank you.
So is it which one is it? The next one?
He spoke about
Okay.
Mahapralaya.
He spoke about Mahapralaya, and he said that when the final devastating flood comes, then what will you do? You will grab your valuables, right? You grab the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya
Charitamrita, yeah.
Charitamrita, and you try to keep your head above water. But when it gets too much, it gets too heavy. You can let the Bhagavad Gita go. Then you walk further with Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he said that if that gets too heavy, you can let the Bhagavatam go. Put your whole arm around Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that from this book, everything can be restored.
Thank you so much. Please make a beautiful note of this beautiful point. From this book, everything can be restored. Okay, finally, the last one, if we could have maybe Vishalini Mataji, would you like to read us the last paragraph?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Prabhupada said that it is due to Chaitanya Charitamrita that we are unique. It is Chaitanya Charitamrita which teaches us the unique features of our identity, of who we are as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. In other words, this is the book that tells us completely what we are doing. No, not that. I'm speaking against the Bhagavad Gita because it includes Bhagavad Gita and it includes the Bhagavatam. So we must study Bhagavad Gita, but personally, I make this book, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the object of my study.
Thank you so much. So this book brings the real complete perfection or the formula for a Gaudiya Vaishnava. A very significant point made by Kadambakarna Maharaj is that our Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara is very strongly represented by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, coming with the mood of Srimati Radharani to give the world which has never ever been given in such a style, in such a mood, in such a way that is unfathomable by us, because he's freely distributing the love of God actually. And his followers, the Goswamis headed by Srila Rupa Goswami and then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who by the mercy and the blessings of Rupa and Nityananda and Sanatan Goswami, praying to Raghunath Das Goswami, praying to all the Goswamis, wrote this wonderful work, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, is now accessible and available. And it is the living encyclopedia of the various relationship among the Vaishnavas. The other day we were hearing the program from ISV and how the little children, young children were saying how to clean. You can learn from Chaitanya Charitamrita, from Gundija Mandir cleaning pastime. How to eat prasadam, you can learn when the devotees are coming together eating prasadam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu in Shantipura at Advaita Acharya's house, eating prasadam. How to play when you're in a childhood, you can learn from Nimai, in the childhood when he was taken away by the thieves. So it is a living great example which takes the magic of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam to the next level completely. So what I wanted to now do, with your permission, I want to share with all of you a glimpse of a little video. I don't know how many of you had an opportunity to watch that amazing marathon, Chaitanya Charitamrita writing marathon class, which took place, an interview which His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu took of these two exalted personalities. I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to share with you we won't have a time for the whole video, but just a glimpse of what it was for these devotees to be at that time. Oh no, I need to end it again. And before sharing, I need to click on the audible. Here we go. Optimize the video and share. So let's hear. I'll be playing some clips here and there, but try to hear the nectar. And then I'll bring it to the end in next 3-4 minutes. Here we are.
The 5 volumes of the Anjalila. So in this way, we had divided it up. And the third question that we asked the Prabhupada is, can we have access to you? And when you're not here by phone, which Prabhupada never liked, to ask you questions that the artists have. In the past, the artists would read the Bhagavatam transcripts They would decide what scenes lended themselves best to be painted. And they would have so many questions. What does this personality look like? What clothing does he wear? Does he have a beard? So many things. And, the Bhagavatam describes life on other worlds. The artists always had millions of questions. So they would write the questions out in a letter. So often Prabhupada was in another country. So it would take maybe 10 days for the letter to arrive. The secretary would write down the answers and mail back the answers. By the time the letter came back with the answers, you were already gone between 2 and 3 weeks, just waiting for vital information that the artists needed to complete their paintings. So we had to end that. We couldn't have a 3-week delay. The second they had artists, I had to be able to go right into Prabhupada's room or call him on the phone if he wasn't in LA and get the answer instantly. And Prabhupada agreed to be bothered in that way, to be interrupted. So that would help the marathon.
Rameshwar Prabhu, we have the clip just lined up of Prabhupada in the temple room, just the last few points. This is just going back to your reference of Srila Prabhupada coming, inviting leaders from all over the movement to come there just so he could say this to you and Radha Vallabha Prabhu on Venice Beach. And let's look at what he said. Monisha will put it up on the screen and we'll just listen to Prabhupada's talk at this point.
That he's very fond of books. And he told me personally that if you get some money, print books. That's what I'm stressing on this point. Where is book? Where is book? Where is book? So kindly help me. This is my request. Print as many books in as many languages and distribute throughout the whole world. Then
please see the emotions on Rameshwar Prabhu's face.
Will automatically increase. Now the educated, learned scholars, they're appreciating our movement by reading books, by taking practical result. Dr. Stilson Judah, he has written one book, perhaps you know, Hare Krishna and Counter Culture. A very nice book about our movement, and he is giving importance. He has admitted that, Swamiji, you have done a wonderful thing because you have turned the drug-addicted hippies into devotees of Krishna and they're prepared for the service of humanity.
So now we have this scene in Los Angeles all set up by Rameshwar Prabhu. And
are you able to hear me? Can somebody just confirm?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you see the magic. Did you see the emotions of Ramesh Prabhu's face? These are pure devotees of the Lord. This was Rameshwar Prabhu who was walking with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, how long would it take for you to print my 9 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita? He said they did some calculations. It came to about 17 months. And Prabhupada said, oh, that won't work. I would like you to print it in 2 months. And Rameshwar Prabhu said, that's impossible, Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada put his stick into the sand and he said, impossible is a word in the fool's dictionary. And that's when Rameshwar Prabhu was explaining how Prabhupada made himself available. And just to give you a bit of a background from there, Rameshwar Prabhu was explaining when this happened, just before that, because Rameshwar Prabhu was 20-year-old when, can't remember, another Prabhupada disciple invited him as his assistant, and that devotee left. Then he was 22. Then he got another responsibility of, apart from publication, to start looking at printing. Another devotee left. So he got like 2-3 responsibilities, and he went to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, can you also take care of this and this? And he said, no, I can't. And Prabhupada said, because the printing press is another location and the publishing, or I can't remember the work which was need to be carried out, that was in another place. So I can't be in both the places, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, maybe both the places could be brought together. And then Rameshwar Prabhu said, I'm not sure, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, okay, great. Immediately next few days, Prabhupada flew with him to Brooklyn. And there he had a meeting with all the press people from BBD. And he asked them, and Rameshwar Prabhu was beautifully explaining, Prabhupada as their spiritual master had to just instruct them. But that was the beauty and humility of Srila Prabhupada, that he would often ask these questions to his own disciples. What do you think of it? And they all said, loved the idea, Prabhupada, to bring the press and the publication and the whole thing together. Not only that, then Prabhupada said in a month, this was in February, Prabhupada said in March, everybody's meeting in Mayapur, and we should ask the question to GBC committee, and if they are happy, we should go ahead. And then Prabhupada asked the same question to GBC. You see, this was the Prabhupada, what a living example he was, and he made this task possible. Rameshwar Prabhu worked day and night. And my humble request to you is that if you get an opportunity to hear this, I mean, there is a Kirtan of 20-25 minutes. It's about an hour and 15 minutes interview. I've said this before, but I'm going to repeat it again. Your life will not be the same if you hear this whole experience of Rameshwar Prabhu. It is so enjoyable, and you will not be able to help it but to get out of your chair and either buy or take a set of Chaitanya Charitamrita for yourself or gift it to a friend. And now this is the answer for a devotee who must be thinking, you must be thinking, why is Divyanam telling us to distribute Chaitanya Charitamrita, such a high literature? What would it do to me? And this is the answer of Rameshwar Prabhu for all of you. Are you ready for this?
Of him and your ecstatic emotion.
There's an urgent call, and it's for our benefit to hold on to it together, as Rameshwar Prabhu so aptly repeated. It's Rameshwar and company. We're all in that company together, and we can still grab that by mustering the sense of cooperation to distribute books all over the world. Let's do it. Let's make this Chaitanya Charitamrita the most famous spiritual book in the world. No one can stop us if we work together. No one. So I thank Rameshwar Prabhu.
Can I add just one thought about what happens when you distribute the Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Please, please.
If you distribute these Chaitanya Charitamritas, what will happen to that book distributor? He will be given deep realizations of Lord Chaitanya, deep feelings and emotions for Lord Chaitanya. The more you distribute him to others, the more your consciousness, your spiritual awareness of him, and your ecstatic emotion for loving him will awaken. That's the benefit for the book distributor. The more you distribute, the more the supply and ecstasy increases in you, the more the realizations increase in you. That's really the secret of book distribution.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Shri Gaurnitai, Shri Shri Panchatattva, if you so desire, please empower our global team to follow in the footsteps of Rameshwar Prabhu, Dhriti Prabhu, and all the great devotees who set the pace for us and the example for embracing the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada's instruction. If you so desire, please let us increase book distribution in ways that the world has never seen before. Let us fill up train cars again with Chaitanya Charitamrita and all of Srila Prabhupada's books, and shower that mercy on the people of the world at this time when they're so confused and disjointed. It's our only hope. Thank you very much for considering our request. Everyone who agrees with this prayer in part or in whole, please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna!
Hare Krishna.
Right. Hare Krishna. So who thinks it's a good idea to try and distribute, to try and distribute one set of Chaitanya Charitamrita? Please either say Hare Krishna in the chat box or express yourself in whatever way you can, and don't go away. We have a beautiful bhajan to end the evening in preparation of preparing our consciousness for inviting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in our hearts and in our lives. But I want to hear from all of you who feels it's a good idea after hearing from Rameshwar Prabhu and that prayer from His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, and that it is a brilliant idea to give it a try, to either have a set for myself or give it to somebody else. So if you agree with the idea, let me see how many Hare Krishnas we get. We are 29 devotees. And if we get 20, we've got 3 so far, which is Rasalila Mataji, Yashwini Mataji, and Pallavi Mataji definitely think it's a great idea. Having seen what will happen, we have a Prabhu who just said it's a great idea. Rita Mataji is saying Hare Krishna. She thinks it's a good idea. Jai Radhika Mataji is saying it's a great idea. Who else thinks it's a good idea to distribute a set of Chaitanya Charitamrita? We have another Mataji who just said Hare Krishna. Jyoti Mataji thinks it's a great idea. Anybody else? There are like 6, 7, maybe 8 of us so far, and there are 29. Pramila Mataji is saying, I need to purchase one set, please. Sure, Pramila Mataji, I will share the link on the chat group and you can directly order. The set will be delivered to you. Or if you're coming to the temple on Sunday, 28th, you can pick it up there. We will have a table, but you won't be able to make a payment that day. So make a payment now, pick up then, or we also do home delivery directly to your home. And the cost for home delivery is 10 pounds. So it's only 85 pounds for the whole set. And we have different languages available: English, Hindi, Gujarati, etc. We have Shabani Mataji and Girish Prabhu, 2 devotees. Prema Vilasini Mataji also thinks it's a great idea. Prabhuta Mataji is saying it's a brilliant idea. Prabhuta Mataji, thank you so much. So looks like everybody is on the board pretty much with this idea. So on that, if anybody has a quick comment or question before I share my screen and invite Hema Mataji for our beautiful bhajan this evening. Vishalini Mataji and Navneet Chor Prabhu thinks it's a great idea. Thank you, Mataji. So please hear that talk. If you haven't heard it, I'll share the link. Would you like me to share the link on the WhatsApp group again?
Yes, please.
Sure, I'll share it. Please only hear if you want your life to be changed for eternity, to come closer to Krishna. That's my only small warning to all of you. Please only hear if you're looking to get close to Krishna. Okay, great. Here we are. Any comments or question? Okay, Prabhuta Mataji wants to sponsor a set. Please, Mataji, on the same link which I'm going to share with you on the chat group, if you click, there is an option to sponsor as well. Thank you so much, Prabhuta Mataji. So all I'm begging is there are 30 of us. Each one of us take a responsibility of distributing just one set. That will be amazing leading up to Gaur Purnima. If nobody has any questions or comments, I'm going to bring up the bhajan and invite Hema Mataji. It's a very beautiful bhajan. And we will read the translation first to build our mood, and then we will sing the bhajan. So I'll read the first translation, and then whoever wants to go next can read the second, and then like that, third and fourth. Just unmute yourself and go for it. I'll read the first one. The bhajan is entitled and sung by Vasudev, written and sung by Vasudev Ghosh, which is entitled Yadi Gaur Na Hoite. And the first stanza is, if Lord Gauranga had not appeared as the Yuga avatar in this age of Kali, then what would have come of us? How could we have tolerated living? Who in this universe would have ever learned about the topmost limits of loving mellows that comprise the glory of Sri Radha? Anybody, please go ahead, unmute yourself and read the number 2.
It's not clear. We can't read it.
Prabhuji, we can't read this.
Okay, let me read it. Who would have had the power to render a static devotional service that follows in the footsteps of the damsels of Vraja? Indeed, the clever expertise of the Vraj Gopis is a prerequisite for entering the supremely sweet forest of Vrinda Devi. Number 3. Oh, please sing again and again of the glorious qualities of Lord Gauranga. Just try to keep your heart simple. Not even one person within this ocean of nescience has ever seen such a magnanimous personality as he. Number 4. Even though excuse me. Even though I chant the holy name of Lord Gauranga, somehow I still have not melted in ecstasy. How then have I maintained the burden of this body? How has the Creator fashioned this body with a stone in place of Vasudev Ghosh's heart? Are you able to see the bhajan at least when Mataji sings?
Really, it's very fuzzy.
Is it? Okay, let me put a copy and paste it onto the Word file. Bear with me. Hema Mataji, you can get ready to sing the bhajan while I'm just doing that. Just going to paste it on the Word document and hopefully the devotees can see it after that. Okay, let me know if you're able to see it now.
Yes.
Okay, Hima Mataji, over to you, and we will sing with you behind the muted mics.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Thank you.
everyone, and thank you for giving me a chance to sing this bhajan. After seeing Rameshwar Prabhu's tearful face, I feel so unworthy of singing this bhajan, but I will try. Yadi go na hoito, tabe ki hoito, ke mone dharita de. Radha Mahima Prema Rasa Saima Jagate Janat ke Yadi go na hoito tabe ki hoito ke mone dari tambe Radha Mahima Prem Rasa Sima Jagate Janat ke Madhur Vrinda Vipina Madhuri Pravesha Chaturi Sar Bharaja Yuvati Bhaveta Bhagati Sakati Hoito Kar Madhuri Vrinda Vipina Madhuri Pravesha Chaturi Sar Parayuvati Bhavera Bhagati Sakati Hoito Kar Yadi go na hoito tabe ki hoito ki mone dari tambe Radha Mahima Prem Rasa Sima Jagate Janat ke Gau Gau Puna Gaurange Guna Sarala Koriyaman He Bhava Sagare Mone Doyal Na Dekhiya Ek Jaan Gau Gau Puna Gauranga Guna Sarala Koriyaman He Bhav Sagare Mone Doyal Na Dekhiya Ek Jaan Yadi go na hoito tabe ki hoito ke mone dari tambe Radha Mahima Prem Rasa Sima Jagate Janat ke Yadi go na hoito tabe ke hoito ke mone dari tabe Radha Mahima Prem Rasa Sima Jagate Janat ke Gau Gau Puna Gauranga Guna Sarala Koriyaman Gau Gau Puna Gauranga Guna Sarala Koriyaman E Bhave Sagare Mune Doyale Na Dekhiya Ek Jaan Ye Bhave Sagare Mone Doyal Na Dekhiya Ek Jaan Yadi go na hoito tabe ki hoito ki mon dari tambe Radha Mahima Prem Rasa Sima Jagate Janat ke Yadi go na hoito tabe ki hoito
के मोने दरिता दे। राधा महिमा प्रेम रस सीमा जगते जानो के। गौरांग बोलिया नागेनु गलिया के मोने दरिनु दे। गौरांग बोलिया नागेनु गलिया के मोने दरिनु दे। वासुरहिया पाषाण दिया के मोने गदिया छे। वासुरहिया पाषाण दिया के मोने गदिया छे। यदि गो न होइतो तबे की होइतो के मोने दरिता दे। राधा महिमा प्रेम रस सीमा जगते जानत के। यदि गो न होइतो तबे के होइतो के मोने दरिता दे। Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Haribol,
Wow,
Jai. That was
beautiful. Hare
wonderful.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Hema Mataji.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
dear
you.
devotees, on this wonderful note and meditation on what would happen to us if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not appeared on this planet, on this earthly planet to enact his pastimes, how would we have ever discovered Vrindavan and the wonderful pastimes of the Vrindavan and known about the love the devotees carry in Vrindavan about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So what a wonderful meditation to be having while we prepare for Gaur Purnima. And there is no better way to celebrate Gaur Purnima than to share with others who do not yet know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So please reach out to your friends and family. When Nityananda Prabhu was giving Krishna consciousness to others, he did not consider who's a fit candidate to receive the highest love of Godhead of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is as good as Chaitanya Charitamrita. He wasn't looking who's fit or not. In fact, this is explained that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was trying to give those who are like merciful, but Nityananda Prabhu was giving even those who did not wanted to have it actually, because that's the level of Nityananda Prabhu and that's his desire. So all we can do is at least try to represent and see who's there, who's favorable to Krishna consciousness and Hare Krishna movement or have heard a little bit about Krishna, but let's tell him about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because this is our biggest mission to spread. That's why it's Gaura Vani Pracharine. Prabhupada Pranam Mantra has Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Let's repeat it with me together, all of us. Unmute yourself. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashat Deshatarine. Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Please help us distribute Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Panchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhu vevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you, Hema Mataji, again.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Leeladhar Prabhu, for tuning in, as always. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for tolerating me. Yeah.
Not at all. Haribol Prabhu.
Haribol. Yeah.